Welcome back to my channel. I will be quoting a report that highlights that the war is spiraling, with Iranian drones recently striking Kuwait and killing one person. Now, analysts criticizes Trump for failing to condemn these attacks, noting instead that he attempted to justify them by claiming the US had been quote-unquote hitting them pretty hard. That's how he is responding when his allies, they're coming under attack, and you can see on the screen some of these attacks from Iran on Kuwait. Now, reporter observed that Trump appears visibly aged and fatigued, especially with this war. He is done. Questioning this analyst, they're questioning his fitness and current mental state as he approaches his 80th birthday. Now, the analysts, they also have said that the Trump administration, they have highlighted Trump's sexist remarks towards CNN reporter. We have seen a confrontation between Trump and CNN reporter Caitlin Collins. I mean, anytime anybody asks Donald Trump anything about the war that he's failing, Trump will just lose it. Now, Trump is shown suggesting the U.S. military could, quote-unquote, wipe everybody up in a matter of weeks. But analysts, they interpret as a dangerous threat of war crime, especially given the ongoing blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Trump said, if I cannot win this war, in other words, I will not let anybody win this war. In other words, he is going to do something absolutely horrendous that will amount to war crime. And why not? Because this guy has lost it. This guy is unhinged. He has dementia. He has so many other problems, mental, cognitive problems. So, of course, that will also be a factor why he would do something absolutely drastic and unacceptable. Now, analysts, they are talking about this whole thing, and we also have seen how the House, they have voted to strike down Trump's war power. So the resolution passed at the House 215 to 208. It now awaits formal consideration in the Senate, where supporters believe it has enough votes to pass. Well, you know, some people, they do say that, but the Senate, I don't think it will pass in the Senate, this war power vote. But this report, they outlines recent military escalations in the Strait of Hormuz, Kuwait, and Bahrain, questioning the official military statements regarding the effectiveness of defensive interceptions. Now, reporters heavily criticizes a recent Oval Office press conference characterizing the president's remarks on ceasefires, foreign policy negotiations, and infrastructure as quote-unquote incoherent and disconnected from reality. The analysts, they have noted that major shipping companies like Maersk are suspending transit through the Strait of Hormuz due to the high security cost associated with the ongoing regional conflict. High security cost. Now, there is this hearing. I just want you to take a listen at this one, where you have Senator Chris Murphy saying that the strait is closed because of our decision to invade Iran. This is a consequence of our military action. How are we how are we going to get it reopened? Will you drive a bargain that is so tough and so hard that the strait remains closed? So how are we going to get it open? There is absolutely no answer to this question from Trump administration. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, quote, that is a predictable that is a predicate to anything else happening. Nothing, this strait will not be open. I mean, Iran absolutely sent a message about that. The straits have to be reopened. Why did you go to war when it was open already? If Iran wants to be able to move its oil again through the strait, they will have to reopen the straits. This guy is absolutely delusional, Marco Rubio. If they refuse to do so, Marco said, then we have other options available to us. No other option you have. You're just BSing. But we would prefer to negotiate the reopening of this. Yeah, we want to negotiate. We will not fight. This war will not be getting out of control. This war will be over. So many promises he made. Tickleson.
But the strait is closed because of our decision to invade Iran. This is a consequence of our military action. So I guess I'm not interested in litigating that question. We all know why the strait is closed, because you took military action against Iran, and we knew ahead of time that that would be their likely response. The question is, how are we going to get it reopened? Are you going to drive a bargain that is so tough and so hard that the strait remains closed? So how are we going to get it open?
The first thing, that is a predicate to anything else happening. The straits have to be reopened. So the way to think about it is this. If Iran wants to be able to move its oil again through the strait, they will have to reopen the straits. If they refuse to do so, then we have other options available to us, but we would prefer to negotiate the opening of this, which means
tell us about the negotiations. What do you need from them in order to get the strait reopened? We need the strait reopened tomorrow.
Well, what needs to happen is very simple. They need to announce that they will no longer fire on commercial ships that are going through, or threaten to fire on ships, because in many cases, ships just won't move. They won't go, not because they got fired on, but because of the risk of being fired upon. And so they have to announce very clearly, the straits are now open. We're not charging a toll. We will help remove the mines that they put in there, and they will not fire on ships.
But the president says they also need to make commitments on their nuclear program. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What commitments do they need to make in order for the strait to be reopened?
Well, the second thing they have to agree to as part of this is, so in addition to the straits, that's the predicate that opens the door to phase two. Phase two is they have to commit to very specific negotiations on highly enriched, the disposition of the highly enriched uranium that still is buried deep in a mountain somewhere. They have to agree on negotiating severe and long-term limitations and or cancellation of enrichment activity in their country.
In the second phase of negotiations.
Well, obviously these are highly technical matters, so I don't think you could work those out in 5 days. That would require a team of experts to meet over a 30, 60, 90-day period and work out the details. But they have to commit to their willingness to do that. For example, they have to commit to say, we will dispose of the enriched uranium, and the question now is, what are the mechanisms by which we do so? That can be negotiated.
Final question.
No, Iran is not going to give up their
but the strait is clear.
what Trump calls nuclear dust. Remember the 60%? No, they're not going to give it up. That's why they are not opening the Strait of Hormuz, because as long as you talk about nuclear weapon program and those nuclear dust, you will not get a deal from Iran at all. They have walked away from any negotiation. And they believe that nuclear dust, those nuclear weapon program, everything about nuclear activities they have in their country is their sovereign right. Therefore, it is absolutely impossible now to strike any deal with Iran based on that condition that you have to hand over the nuclear dust or the nuclear program must be shut. You can never have a nuclear weapon. No, those things, Iran will never ever talk even. Now, we have a news from breaking Fox News confirms the Pentagon is committing international piracy. Okay, so Donald Trump is committing international piracy. The U.S. Navy fired Hellfire missiles into the engine room of a commercial ship simply for navigating the Gulf. Now, you have to understand, Donald Trump, because he's losing and he can see there is no off-ramp to it, he's going to do whatever it takes for him to stop this war, which is absolutely going to make it even much worse. Every step, every action he will take, he will just suffer. United States military will suffer. And this guy absolutely has become moronic. Trump administration boasts about disabling 6 civilian vessels, pure state war crimes. He is committing war crime, Donald Trump. And United States will look bad in the eyes of billions of people around the world, just like Israel. Take a listen.
Now U.S. Central Command's responding with self-defense strikes on Keshem Island, right at the hook of the strait. This all started earlier today when the Iranians began targeting commercial vessels in the Gulf with drones. We knocked all of them down. Our Navy also...
This is coming from Fox News. They are saying we knocked them all down. Again, committing crime and war crime and boasting about it on camera. This is a bad situation for the United States and its history, because they're boasting, they're bragging, this hubris they have to use force irrationally and illegally on other countries. It is very, very clear and evident. Now, Cory Booker, he lost it at the hearing with Marco Rubio. We are the strongest nation on the planet, and we are in a stalemate with Iran. And now we are begging to get back into a deal that you all trashed in the first place. And he was obviously talking about the JCPOA from 2015. Yes, of course, that's what Donald Trump does. He will undo everything that a previous president did, and then he will do exactly what that previous president did. Take a listen.
Before we even get to a nuclear negotiation, this regime is getting money to rebuild, purchase more drones, cause more havoc. And this is before we're even trying to get back to.
But I apologize. I don't understand how they're getting this. What revenue are you referring to?
Well, there's two sources of revenue we're seeing. One is the revenue from the Chinese, that's factually documented. And number two, the revenue that you're proposing that they should receive by releasing all of their highly enriched uranium, as well as in making a commitment about their enrichment capacities.
Yeah.
Hold on. And that was the exact deal that you guys vilified, that the president and you vilified President Obama from having.
Yeah. No,
So
I don't
here
think
we
those
have
are not
a
the
worse situation where
Those are not the same
our
things.
adversary and our enemy, who's causing havoc in the region, who is funding proxies and terrorists, has discovered, thanks to you all, the power of shutting down the Strait of Hormuz.
No, they didn't
which
discover.
is
They
wa-
knew that a long time ago, and they've
well,
done it
well,
before.
clearly, we all knew that a long time ago. That's why this
And they intended to do this at
ill-conceived
some point
war
in the
should have
future
never
as well.
happened.
Yeah, but
We have made our adversary in a stronger negotiating position. We are the strongest nation on the planet Earth, and we're in a stalemate with Iran. And now we're begging to get back into a deal that you all
We're not
trashed
begging.
in the first place.
There's no one begging. I don't
Clearly,
know.
this is a
Senator
shame.
Booker, your time's up.
But can
Senator
I just-
Rubio, since he's
I do
gone
want to
over, you
address
can
some of these points
respond.
because they go to the
No,
heart of the.
he is begging. Marco Rubio is begging. His boss, Donald Trump, is begging for the strait to be reopened by Iran. And Iran is like, oh, we don't care. Donald Trump, like as I said, like even his own critics, his own allies, they are now jumping off the ship because they have realized the ship is sinking of Donald Trump. Now, John Bolton, for example, he said, Iran believes it can outlast Trump, that it has more patience than he does because he is so desperate to get the price of oil down. The maximum pressure, he said, campaign is failing. Iran is calm. The White House is panicking again. And this is again coming from John Bolton. Whether you like him or not, I mean, I personally don't like him because I think he's a war hawk. He loves to go to war. But even he himself is saying this. Take a listen.
I think the regime in Iran believes it can outlast Trump, that it has more patience than he does because he's so desperate to get the price of oil down. And I think that's why they've now made sure Lebanon is part of the mix. That's just one. I think the regime in Iran believes it can outlast.
Yes, they do believe, and they are seeing it with their own eyes, that Trump is becoming ever more desperate every single day with the Strait of Hormuz. He is trying to open it by any means. Of course, this is just not panning out for Donald Trump the way he thought it would. Iran is not bowing down to his bully behavior. His war crimes are very much on display for the whole world to see, and people are soon gonna hate him, just like they hate Benjamin Netanyahu for committing genocide in Gaza.